There are moments that surprise and delight the mind and the senses. Introducing Sound Art, the world's first truly customizable, concealed, flat panel art speaker system. A revolutionary combination of incredible sound delivered from your most meaningful pictures. When art and technology intersect, there is a seamless blend of creativity and function.
Come alive in the streetlight, pulling at the stars in the moonlight. Every time I feel you close.
With Sound Art, anyone can print their own artwork or pick from numerous licensed artwork that we have. The possibilities are limitless. Enjoy beautiful and amazing sound throughout your home. The entire surface of your artwork generates incredibly robust sound. Your art never sounded so good.
We're back for one more time in the first season of 2022 for the iRacing Stock Car Association Tucson Sound Art Cup Series. This time from the gambling capital of the world. It's the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and you're running of the Hooters 200. Hello, one and all, and welcome to the show. My name is Nola Rempel, with Alfonso Nixon beside me in the broadcast booth, and Rob Melnick down behind the cameras for tonight's presentation. So it was an exciting 100-lap event for a 150-mile race just on Thursday out as a result of some minor errors while setting up sessions. This time, though, we tack on an extra 50 miles, and it will be for a full 200-mile run for 134 laps around Las Vegas Motor Speedway. For points leader Chris Severa, obviously it's already said and done. He's got nothing to worry about for tonight, but you still got some points battles that have yet to be settled elsewhere throughout the field.
And Nolan, this is going to be an awesome end to an exciting season because, like you said, those other points positions are yet to be settled, and we are here in the gambling capital of the world. So let me ask you this. Where are you going to place your bets for tonight's race?
Well, Travis Manning has shown before that he is a driver that can be very, very solid whenever he wants to. He can get some solid times out there on the racetrack. He was 5th place in practice. He currently sits provisional pole in qualifying, so Manning could be a serious threat for tonight's race. But you also got some other drivers who we are used to seeing up front in other series. For example, Justin Levine from Frontline. He was once racing in the Butt Kicker Cup Series. He's making his return to ISCA competition after taking a brief hiatus. This time in the Tucson Sound Art Cup Series. We'll see what the number 33 car has underneath him. You've also got other drivers that we know can be quick. Guys like Mario LaPinta could potentially find themselves a little bit further near the front of this field. I know Kyle Green could be in a similar situation as well if he opts to take his qualifying lap and start a little bit further up the field. You got a lot of quick drivers out there. Could be a very even fight.
And it's going to be a fight indeed because this is, even though the championships have been settled, this is going to be an epic battle because these guys are definitely, they come out here to the desert, they got chips on their shoulders, and we're going to figure out who's going to be trying to put themselves in the position to be the top dog as we get ready to start this next season of our iRacing Stock Car Association.
The only two drivers in the podium that are currently battling for a points position is Kenny Powell and Josh Shovner. They have 20 points separating the two of them coming into today's race, but Chris Severa is 63 points to the good from Kenny Powell, which means he has already won the championship entry tonight by a solid 3 points. So if he doesn't score anything tonight and Kenny Powell wins all stages and, of course, wins the race, there would still be a 3-point gap. Favor Chris Severa. So Severa, again, has nothing to worry about here tonight. It'll be down between Powell and Schaffner for those final 2 spots on the podium in tonight's race.
Yeah, but if my memory serves me correctly, those were the 2 guys that put on the best show last Saturday. So here's the thing. We're coming into this race, both Powell and Schaffner understand each other, and I think no matter where they're at as this thing goes, if they can keep themselves clean, that points battle might be one just worth watching.
Qualifying is just getting wrapped up with a few seconds left to go. It's time for the national anthem.
Race fans, it is time for those most famous words in motorsports.
Driver, start your engine! Starting off pole position for tonight's 26-car field is going to be Travis Manning, the only driver to push into the 29-second bracket in qualifying. Josh Schaffner starts beside him on the front row. Wayne Grossi is third with Eric Kling in fourth. It's Don Avery to round out the top 5 with Kenny Powell in 6th. Brooks Durden is 7th with Al Kozlowski starting 8th. Greg Wyszynski and John Mollenthal round out the top 10.
That's right. So Jay Hone's going to be 11th with Kenny Thompson in 12th. Frank Flores 13th with Justin Levine in 14th. Adrian San Jose Arenas is 15th. Mark Johnston 16th. Noah Bitts 17th. Chris Severa 18th. Joshua Gaithwright's going to be 19th with Paul Olsen in 20th.
And that'll lead the likes of Gary Adamson and Kyle Green at 21st and 22nd. Mario LaPinta is 23rd. Kenny Lind is 24th. Robert Pattengale and Ryan Strunk rounding out your 26-car grid from the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. The top 17 are the only drivers that took times, and the spread for 1st to 17th, just about 1 second exactly. But it is worth noting that, of course, there's a pretty broad stretch of about half a second from 14th only back to 17th. The top 13 drivers all separated by just 0.5 of a second, Al. So that is going to show how tight it is up there at the front of the field.
Man, it's going to be an awesome race. It's going to be clean. I mean, you're going to see 3 wide, possibly 4 wide sometimes. And hopefully, if there are any incidents, Nolan, they will occur either off the racing surface or in the grass, which should lead to us for some lengthy, long green flag runs. Now, I know you guys were short at your laps there on Thursday, which would have made those stages a little different, but here hopefully tonight these guys will be able to bring us some very, very exciting long green flag runs.
Fingers crossed we'll be in for a solid running here tonight. Pace car is just about to get the field set and rolling. Of course, you got yourself your stages over the course of tonight's race, ending at 25 and 50, estimated 48 laps on a single fuel run here, Al. So that, of course, will mean that there will be drivers that will be having to make one pit stop throughout the middle of your third and final stage, which is just over 80 laps on the night. So it's safe to say about halfway through stage 3 is when we'll be seeing pit stops taking place for the field.
Yeah, and the thing about this racetrack, it's either feast or famine, because either you're going to end up with a lot of cautions or not that many. So for these drivers, they're going to want to be, I prefer to be up front. Some of them have opted to be in the back, kind of test their luck, because if there is, unfortunately, a wreck going into 1 and 2, say, it could potentially take out a large section of this field.
So as the field is coming on off of turn number 2, about half a lap to go before we get things green flag racing. Do believe there are a couple of drivers that did not opt to make it to the starting grid. Actually, looking at it now, it looks like that is not the case. We do have our full 26-car grid. So before we get things underway here then, Al, who's your pick to win tonight's race?
You're not gonna get me tricked into this. This is Vegas, baby. I'm gonna bet on black. So I'm just gonna figure out what black's gonna be right now. What about yourself?
Well, wait till stage 3, and then I'll make a more clear call on that one. Obviously, a lot can happen in these first 2 stages, which always happen to be the more hectic of the 2. Pace cars down and in, and we're getting set to go green flag racing for one more time. In the first season of 2022, the Hooters 200 is underway.
Looks like Travis Mann is going to take that green flag. And looks like Josh, Josh Hoffner with the new paint scheme kind of threw me off a little bit. And Travis Mann leads this field on down the back stretch for lap 1.
Manning already broken clear by a couple of car lengths out in front. It's double file, deeper in behind. Looking at Grassi, looking at Schaffner, going double file off of the corner. Schaffner pulls around the outside with the Pennzoil Chevrolet number 7. Eric Kling follows suit. Manning leads the opening lap. Schaffner and Kling second and third down to the turn 1.
Looks like Kenny Powell's going to be right outside of Wayne Grassi.
Oh, that's a big wreck in behind. One car hard to the outside wall. It's Al Kozlowski. 5-6 cars involved in a big wreck out of turn number 2.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have to take a look at what exactly just happened there, because I can't see it just now, but I think it was pretty bad.
Several cars slammed into the outside wall. It all kicked off with Brooks Dirting, who got sideways on the entry to corner number 1, just overcorrected. He got into Al Kozlowski and just hooked the 88 and the 64 along with Kenny Thompson hard into the outside wall. We're going to take another look at this one here from the replay up above. There you see the snap, and there's just no saving it from there.
Yeah, once you feel it to start to go, sometimes the instinct is going to be to kind of grab it and go the other way, but she'll come right back to you, and you saw exactly when she did, but unfortunately he had already overcorrected, which causes that snap, and also a bad day for a lot of other drivers.
Mario Lapinta got into the outside wall trying to avoid this. Joshua Gaithright got loose, again just trying to avoid the mess. Justin Levine got rear-ended by one Frank Flores. Again, trying to get through this. He took a ride on board with Brooks Dirting there, and that was a significant impact for those drivers in the field. And not a pretty sight to see on just the opening few laps of this race.
No, especially for Al Goslowski, because I remember we talked to Al last Saturday because he was the third place finisher, and he was saying that, if you were going to bet on him, he was going to run this thing. Well, it looks like he just ran himself into the wall. Not definitely what he was looking for. Just an unfortunate turn of events for a lot of drivers so early in this race, and yet I was hoping we were going to be able to get some clean green flag racing in, but that just doesn't seem to be the case right now. But I think we'll work our kinks out as this thing continues to go along.
The night is still very young, and there is still plenty of racing action left to go. Still well over 100 laps to go. In fact, it'll be 1:30 this next time by. Travis Manning, you can see, leading the way up in front in his Racer Apparel number 18 car, just entering turn number 3 this time by as we get set to potentially go back green flag racing in just a little while here. Will it be 1 to green this time by? The potential is still there.
Yeah, this is another one of those fun 1.5-mile tracks, man, especially with this new low downforce, high horsepower package. It actually gives you a really good, fun car to drive where you can actually get really racy at. So, I don't know, man. Some guys are still kind of groveling about the Gen 7 versus the Gen 6s, but on this track specifically, I think I prefer the Gen 7s. What about you?
I think each car has got their pros and cons, right? I think one of the major cons about this car so far is the fact that nobody's really had a lot of time to figure out how it's been run, especially with this new 670 horsepower package. I think that is a very important thing to know. The car itself has been out for about a year at this point, or just under a year. But you have to remember that this new 670 horsepower package is the real thing about what's caught a lot of these people out. That essentially remade the entire car, right? And that is what is really kind of giving these guys a curveball. And that was only released about a month ago. So these drivers have been struggling to figure out not the car itself, but the brand new package with this car. But I still overall prefer the Gen 7. It still promotes a lot closer racing than the Gen 6 ever did.
Yeah, and speaking of that racing, the lights are off on the pace car. Looks like we're getting ready to take this thing green again, and hopefully we'll be able to keep it green a little bit longer than we did last time as Mr. Manning is lining up to take the green flag again. It's got Schaffner on the outside. Schaffner might not have got that launch that he wanted last time, but we're going to see if it'll actually work out for him a little bit better as the pace car is going to be coming down pit road.
Pace car is in pit road this time by, and it is now Travis Manning to take us back to green flag racing, and it's an early launch this time from the number 22 Ford Mustang down in the turn number 1. Eric Kling, his T-Mobile Mustang, trying to run him down just in behind.
Yep. Manning wasn't even taking any chances this time, wanting to go ahead and get that Ford out there in that clean air. As the cars behind him are still trying to figure out what they're doing. Looks like we've got Don Avery up high on the wall. Kenny Powell's going to be down on the insides. This is going to be potential for a three-wide turn here as we come on into one.
Down in the turn number 1, Kenny Powell still holds the low side. He's stepping the back end out though, and Powell trying to wrestle with it. Gonna hang on, but it'll allow Noah Betts and Don Avery to both sweep past on the outside line. Chris Severo looks to take another spot away as well, just up in top. You got Greg Wachinski now looking for the low side. Will there be 3 wide again? They almost are out of turn number 4, but Powell still holds strong, trying to hang on to spots inside the top 10.
Yeah, look at the right, who's coming right beside him. Here comes Wachinski with Jay Hone right behind him. As these tires are going to start to heat up a little bit, I think Powell might be actually able to find that little bit of traction that he was missing. As it looks like we get 5 laps in the ball. We're at lap 8 here already.
Already at lap number 8, coming to the close of about the first half here of stage number 1 at about 4 or 5 laps time. Noah Betts, you see, ripping the high side for Don Avery on the low side. This is just behind that battle for Grossi and Klein for the final podium position. There's a fight up in front as well for the race lead, and Schaffner is going to sweep through and take it. Travis Manning tried to hold on to momentum on the outside line, but just got loose, bobbled his car up the hill. Did a great job to keep that thing out of the wall out, but he's lost the race lead as a result.
Yeah, but you know that guy that's back out front is no stranger to leading races like this. Definitely no stranger to us talking about up here. That is the Josh Schaffner, who is actually contending with Kenny Powell. Oh, let's see.
Oh! Big wreck car still wrecking into turn number 2, and they're still crashing, even just up above, and you got people piling in. Guys, use the brake pedal. Good grief, that got a lot bigger than I think it had any business being. All started this time around with Kling and Noah Bitts. That was even bigger than the last wreck that we just had. And all of that collected when Greg Wyszynski got wrecked along with Noah Bitts. You had Kenny Powell take out Thomas O'Hara. I think it was Frank Flores that slammed into Wyszynski and just drove right up, getting big time into Noah Bitts. I know Gary Adamson got a piece of that. I saw Eric Kling sweeping through, but doesn't really capture the real scope of the incident.
If we could ride with Eric Kling, and we'll see exactly that, it's that snap. So as he was coming around the turn, he felt he felt his car start to get loose. And once it starts to get loose, he then tries to fight it, but right there at the end, Flores smacks into the back of him. Well, actually, Noah Bitts smacks into the back of him, causing him to hit that wall and causing other cars. But it's just that one instance where when you feel it trying to go around, the natural instinct is to turn the wheel the other way, but it comes right back to you, and that's why you see that snap action. Like I said, this is one of those things where depending on where the wreck happens and where you're at, when it goes down, you just might not get through that. A lot of guys are all beat up now, and I know that's not the way they wanted to run their race here tonight, Nolan. But it's just that's just racing. That's one of those racing things. It's just very unfortunate.
A good number of drivers have come down pit road this time by to take service, and I do believe actually just about everybody, save for the top 8 or so, came into pit road that last time by. A good number of those were for damage repairs, but others, it was just topping out fuel. Kyle Green was among those, so was Ken Ayland. But just about everybody else that was in pit road was going down to get damage repaired. And I tell you what, that has eliminated a good number of drivers, because at the moment when I look out onto the racetrack itself, I'm only seeing about 13 of the 16 drivers that we had starting this race actually still behind the safety car. The remaining 10 or so all behind, or all stuck down in pit road. Kenny Thompson has already retired from this race. He is joining the likes of, I believe, so far actually, Kenny Thompson is the first driver to officially retire from this race. Everybody else still technically in the session, hoping to maybe get back out on track and regain lost time.
Yeah, but unfortunately, Nolan, this is not an aero track, but it's still a fast track, and you need a strong car. So, looking like just about half the field suffering damage of some type or another at this point. Definitely not what you want when having so many laps left to go. Nobody wants to ride around this track with a beat-up car. You know what I mean?
It's not a track where riding around while damage is particularly fun. You're kind of hit the nail on the head there. It is a very, very challenging racetrack, and that alone, it makes it hard enough as it is, but especially with damage, it makes it that much harder. We saw that taking place to some drivers in the Thursday night race. You had some people that got damage, and even those slight little scrape just caused them to just lose so much time, and hopefully we're not going to be seeing a similar story with that here tonight.
Yeah, but what I do believe is going to happen now that we've got cars out there with varying degrees of damage, I think what's going to happen is it's going to cause racing all around the racetrack, which is going to be unfortunate for some of these guys up front that are going to want to go too wide, because as you're starting to have to factor in lap cars and lap traffic, and that's definitely going to be an issue here as the lights are out on the pace car. That's definitely going to add a whole nother dimension to this racing, and it's just these guys are going to have to be even more cautious now, as that pace car is going to go ahead and duck down. Oh wait, nope, not yet.
They're all doubled up. They want to get going, but they kind of got you fooled there for a minute. I think it'll be 1 green this time by, but they want to get going quickly, don't they?
Yeah, not only them, me. I'm excited about trying to get some racing done. We just had a couple unfortunate cautions, but yeah, like I was saying, it's going to add a whole nother dimension of racing, because this track's easy to pass, but it's not a track that you can just pass everywhere. So having the factor of a third car there is going to make it a little bit more challenging. Just a lot of cars. There's at least 6 cars on pit road right now that are completely look like they're just almost destroyed.
And you know they're going to be having themselves a bit more of a more opportunity. If not this season, then hopefully next season, right? I mean, there is a long season to go, and don't forget you got the Super Cup Series season that is just ahead of us as well. So hopefully we'll be seeing those guys back out on track as well. It does look, though, as we are getting set to come back to green flag racing here, and as I'm counting at the moment, 17 of our 26 cars remain on track.
17.
Well, on that one, I'd like to change that to 18 cars. Brooks Durden just caught the tail end of your field as well. Everybody else still sitting in pit road. Pace cars down and in, and Schaffner gets set to take us back to green.
Josh Schaffner's going to waste no time getting us going again. Looks like he's going to go ahead and get that thing rolling. Looks like Chris Rivera's down on the inside trying to make his way up front, not wanting to be a part of any of that wreckage going on back in the rear.
Schaffner and Manning both clear. Don Avery still duking it out with Ryan Strong, but they're going to get themselves sorted out. You can see a couple of drivers still opting to go double file a little ways behind, and some drivers slipping up the track. They just need to get a little bit more time for them to be able to get those tires up to temperature. I think that is what's really hurting these drivers, right? We saw that at Auto Club where cold tires was the really huge story of the night, and I have a feeling that might be what we're seeing here as well. It seems to be like middle of the corner exit when you're losing it, which is definitely where cold tires can play a huge role.
Yeah, definitely now, especially that we're actually measuring tire temperature so much more. Those cold tires needing at least 4 laps to get heated up to optimum temperature to give you that sticky that you need in order to run that race service. So that's why you'll see a lot of these guys going to be running kind of different lines, because you just kind of got to try to run the path of least resistance, if you will. So Josh Schaffner definitely getting an advantage because he's in that good clean air. So he's definitely probably going to go ahead and put his nose in the wind, if you will, and get a little runaway, I think, at this point.
Don Avery looking for the inside on Ryan Strunk for the final podium position, but that is all the way back some ways from the top 2 at the moment, which are starting to really stretch their legs. And you can see Don Avery just couldn't get the momentum through the exit of the corner to be able to follow through. Had a great run that time by a 1, but this time Strunk covered him off, so Avery had nowhere he could take that run. As well, he had to back out and just stalled. Chris Rivera now has been allowed to close on up, and he's no doubt looking to see if he can potentially capitalize, as this time Avery will make the pass on Ryan Strunk for 3rd through turn 4.
Yeah, Rivera actually having to figure out which one of the 2 he was going to choose to dance with, because that draft is so effective here. So looking like he's choosing Avery, and he's going to go ahead and ride with that horse now as he secures 4th position. Wayne Grossi behind him is going to get in line. So looks like we're having a little bit more single file racing now as everybody's settling down. Looks like we got Mr. Manning's going to be making a show for the lead up here against Mr. Schaffner. So a battle going on for the lead. Manning there looking to the inside, but Schaffner actually able to hold him off. Schaffner riding up the track a little bit more than Manning. Manning actually able to keep that line low. Schaffner gets
Ho, ho, ho! And that's going to open the door wide open for Manning to just kick it down.
All it takes is a second. In one split instant, Schaffner got a little loose, allowing Manning to drive right by him. Also allowing that 3rd place car of Avery to close that gap a little bit more on these 2. As Severa's definitely going to be trying to push him all the way up to the front. Now Schaffner going to show himself a little bit to the inside. He's not going to try to let Manning run away with this thing. I think Josh wants to be up front. That's just where he's kind of used to being in these circumstances.
Schaffner stated on Thursday night that he often sees himself as the follower, not so much the leader. Now, of course, he led almost every lap of the Thursday night race, won every stage from the pole and the race, and now he's looking set to try to go for a do-over, minus, of course, that pole position. To the inside of Travis Manning goes the number 50 car, and Looks as though Schaffner will try to hold the high side as it's Manning on the low end of that one, excuse me. So the racer apparel number 22 Mustang doing a solid job, and it'll be Josh Schaffner's Polaris Chevrolet to rip the high side and go into the race lead.
And Severa's going to waste no time trying to set himself up for a little crossover action there to go around Manning. Is I think he wants to be up front too. Now, Schaffner probably not so happy the way this thing got closed up. Now he has to actually get out there and try to get this thing running again and get a little bit more of a lead. Severa now going to look to the inside of that 18 car, Travis Manning.
Schaffner starting to pull away as Chris Severa, your current champion, looks to the low side. Pit road is closed this time by with 2 to go in stage 1.
Yeah, Severa still running just like those stage points really matter. Looks like a little bit low there on the apron. It's going to allow Manning to get around the outside. He's going to be waiting on Avery to try to maybe pull up a little there behind him so they can freight train this thing. But if they can, hopefully they'll be able to close that gap to Schaffner. But Schaffner at this point definitely got that Chevy, that 50 Chevy in the wind showing the way.
You see Severa to the low side. This is the last lap in stage number 1. Severa going to go to second place. Oh, he's going to lose the back end, though. Goes onto the apron and manages to wrestle that car back under control. But he'll lose second and he'll lose third as well as Don Avery sweeps through into the podium. And coming around through 3 and 4, it'll be down to Josh Schaffner, who will come out of turn 4 with no trouble behind. And he will win stage 1 from Vegas.
With Manning, looks like he's got that second place wrapped up with Avery right behind him. Avery was wasting no time waiting on Severa to make that mistake, and he just chomped on him just like a shark. That in stage 1, with our stage 1 run in order, Josh Schaffner, Travis Manning, Don Avery, Chris Severa, Joshua Levine, Wayne DeGrassi, Ryan Strunk, Aaron Arenas, Ken Allen, and Joshua Gaithrout rounding out your top 10 points positions. At this time, we're going to step away and have a word from our sponsors.
There are moments that surprise and delight the mind and the senses. Introducing Sound Art, the world's first truly customizable, concealed, flat panel art speaker system. A revolutionary combination of incredible sound delivered from your most meaningful pictures. When art and technology intersect, there is a seamless blend of creativity and function.
I'm alive in the streetlight, pulling at the stars in the moonlight. Every time I feel you close.
With Sound Art, anyone can print their own artwork or pick from numerous licensed artwork that we have. The possibilities are limitless. Enjoy beautiful and amazing sound throughout your home. The entire surface of your artwork generates incredibly robust sound. Your art never sounded so good.
You gotta get down to Hooters, have a drink, catch the game, get yourself some awesome wings. It's the place to do your thing. You gotta get down to Hooters. Here she comes, a girl next door, hanging with good friends and more. Come on, what you waiting for? You gotta get down to Hooters. So get on up and get on down to Hooters.
Back for more here for stage number 2 now for the Hooters 200 at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. I'm your host, Ola Remple, with Alfonso Nixon beside me in the broadcast booth. And, of course, Rob Melnick down behind the cameras as well. It was an exciting opening stage to this race. And now we'll see just what we've got in store for us for stage 2.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be a little bit more calm and we'll actually be able to get things settled down. That first stage, just a couple very unfortunate circumstances, Nolan, that just literally took out a lot of great cars.
A couple of unfortunate moments where a lot of those drivers, and there are multiple drivers laps down. Jay Hone is 8 down. Robert Patgill is 11 down as a result of those messes. Frank Flores is 12. Bitts is 15. Kling is 16. Kenny Thompson is a retirement in this race. Wachinski and Al Kozlowski still have not re-entered the racing circuit. You're down to about 18 cars now, still on the lead lap. And it should be a solid run, hopefully, towards the rest of stages 1 and 2. Now, of course, do you think it's worth mentioning that there wasn't too many actual cautions in the Thursday night race? You only actually had, what was it, about 2, 3 maybe? So we should have a very, very solid running, hopefully, in the remaining of this race here tonight from Vegas.
Yeah, just going to be the key part's going to be those first 4 or 5 laps. The drivers allowing those tires to get up to operating temperature so that hopefully they can avoid the snap. Because the snap has actually been crackling and popping a lot of people's dreams here tonight, Nolan.
I think there's been a little bit of an understatement, to be perfectly honest, about how much it's been knocking some drivers out. And remember, both of those snaps that we've seen so far tonight have come very, very early. And that, of course, has meant that it's just nobody's fault behind them, but except the one driver that causes it. You can't really pin anybody else except for the one guy that snaps it around. And I think that's kind of got to hurt to a lot of the other guys out there, knowing that it was just an innocent mistake that sees their race completely destroyed.
You know, and you don't want to make the guy feel bad because he's feeling bad enough as he just tore up a lot of cars, you know. But it's worse to be one of the guys, I think, that's on the receiving end of that. Because even though you know he didn't do it on purpose, it just kind of ends your night.
Lights are out aboard the pace car. We get set to go green flag racing this time by. Going down through turn number 2. Let's talk points, shall we, real quick. We already talked about how the battle for the championship ended last week in Auto Club when Chris Severa pulled 63 points clear of Kenny Powell. But it is worth noting that the battle for second place has just been kicked into overdrive. Josh Schaffner won the first stage. I mean, he has shrunk his gap from third place to second place, down by just 10 points up to Kenny Powell, who is heavily damaged and who did not score any stage points. If Josh Schaffner wins the second stage, he'll be dead tied with Powell on points, and from there, it's winner takes all.
That makes things very interesting because, like I said, Schaffner here setting up with our new leader, Jake Wright, going to start on the outside. So the 89 car was out front some last Saturday, but had an unfortunate set of circumstances. As he now launches on that green flag, is going to take that lead for us going into turn 1. Josh Schaffner wasting no time trying to get that Chevy in line, trying to close that gap. We're at 2-wide racing going on in the first laps of stage 2.
Oh, and wrecking already down the back straightaway, and it's Travis Manning, the pole sitter, off and into the inside wall on the back straightaway. It has fallen apart for the number 22 Ford Mustang, who all by himself is now heavily damaged with major damage on the front of his machine, and I imagine probably going to be out of the race. No caution, though. We keep things green, but so unfortunate for a man who was looking set to go for a race win tonight.
Could have turned out so much worse, Nolan, because he was in third place as he just loses it and takes that thing hard down to the inside wall. Definitely going to probably have a meatball flag and a long pit stop after that one.
It's unfortunate for Travis Manning. He does not have a meatball flag, thank goodness, so he is going to be staying out there on the racetrack, hoping to see if he can maybe just stop the bleeding and hope that a caution comes out so he'll have the opportunity to come down and get some of that damage repaired. That's allowed a top 2 breakaway between Don Avery and Josh Schaffner. Still got guys like Justin Levine and Ryan Strong looking to fight it out for third and fourth. Wrecking again on the back straightaway. This time it's Kenny Powell, the second place in points driver, down to the inside line. And it wasn't even him. It was actually Noah Bitts that started this one off. So Bitts got into the outside wall, got tipped around by Kyle Green, and he clipped Kenny Powell as he slid down the racetrack.
Yeah, these are more indicative of the types of wrecks that we usually see here because this track has such a non-racing surface. These guys that get collected up like that are actually, unfortunately, uh, we're able to continue racing, so they're losing positions and even in some cases laps.
And Ryan Strunk has had problems in turns 1 and 2. It's all falling apart for a lot of drivers out there at the moment. Strunk got loose, clipped the apron in turn 1. That caused it to slide all the way up and go head on into the outside wall. He's kept it fine, though. That was about 1 lap ago at this point in time. It's just falling apart for a lot of drivers in this field. Strunk was running 3rd place. You've got the pole sitter, the first place, 2nd place in points, and the 3rd place runner in this race, all crashing within the same about 2-lap span of each other. And all the while, you've still got guys like Aylen, Severa, and Arenas looking to do battle among themselves on the race course.
And while no one was looking, it's allowed Josh Schaffner and Don Avery to kind of sneak away and be in a league of their own. Now, this is an amazing turn of events for some because, like I said, we were going to end up with racing all over the track. We're not quite there yet, but definitely been some very interesting snaps, if you will.
Fierce battle for 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th on the racetrack. Looking at Adrian San Jose Arenas currently side by side with Joshua Gaithright, Severa, and Aylen starting the break clear. This is reeling in John Mullins in his number 64 Chevrolet, trying to find the high side as Arenas takes the spot away from Gaithright down low. And I think the 89 car for Frontline might have just let him have it. Severa has caught Ken Aylen up in front, and he's going to make the lunge for 5th place through the tri-oval.
I think Gaithright did the same thing this week that he did last time, which is just a fuel-only pit stop, having similar results. So that strategy as he finds himself actually dropping way back as he led this thing at the start of stage 2, and now he's actually all the way back to 8th place. So if you remember last Saturday, same thing happened, but then he got into an accident with Kenny Powell that actually ultimately ended up taking him and the 88 car out of the race.
Could be a solid running year then for a lot of these drivers in this field as we get set to tick away at the laps in stage 2. Looks like it'll be 11 to go this time by in the 2nd stage of this race. Time is very quickly running out to go for these final bonus points on the season. Of course, it might final bonus points in one season, but it is all kicking off for the Super Cup Series season, which is only in its 3rd race here tonight. And don't forget as well, next week, while there will be a break for the regular Cup Series as Gaithright slides the back end out. That allows John Mullins through around the outside line. It might be a break for the regular Cup season this next week, but the Super Cup Series is still in full swing. We're swinging on down to Phoenix, Arizona for what should be a very, very entertaining run at that little 1-mile oval.
All these little desert tracks, man, are just making me glad that I live in the South. But I still love the racing that you get when you come to these tracks. So looking at Gaithright, I'm just kind of wondering, maybe he was doing that just so he could get an actual reading on his tire wear, so to speak, because he's definitely, it's not looking like it made a difference for him, and the good is definitely looking like it's costing him a little bit as he continues to slide it down out of the points here almost for this stage.
See Gary Adamson trying to make a move on Gaithright on the low side, but it is a very difficult task to do down there. Of course, the progressive banking at Vegas does not help any efforts on the inside line trying to make moves, right? Of course, that is one of the things that we don't really get to talk to a whole lot in races as chaotic as these ones are, as it's under 10 to go now in stage 2. But Adamson is certainly making it work, but the frontline car just pulls a little bit further ahead that last time by out of turn 4 down the straightaway.
Yeah, they definitely got to be very cautious to go to catch these two guys in front of them. Now, it would be easier for them almost if they would actually get into that line by line, because you can gain so much from the drafter on this track. Maybe not as much from side drafting, but I still understand guys got to run the line that they're running. And speaking of running, Josh Schaffner still leading the way on this thing as him and Avery are just even pulling further and further away from the field. Thank goodness for stage flags, huh?
And stage cautions are definitely one of the bigger talking points that has come into the series in the last year or so. It is, of course, so crucial for a lot of these drivers in order to execute those strategies perfectly now as a result, and makes it a little bit more chaotic in these races as well. But so far, a lot of these drivers, I think, have grown very used to how those stages go, and at this point, they come into these races with a very clear game plan in mind. And that plan is usually go all out in the first couple of stages and take it nice and easy throughout stage 3 because you know you got a pit stop to make yet.
Now, speaking of a pit stop to make, Kenny Powell, our second place points leader in the championship, finds himself on pit road. Josh Schaffner, currently the third place in the championship points, finds himself in the race lead. If things go like they continue to go, Schaffner is going to go ahead and put yet another stage win in the books, and that's going to, what did you say was going to happen to those points, Nolan?
Well, he would be tied with Kenny Powell. That is, of course, assuming that Kenny Powell doesn't score any stage points, which, now that he's in pit road, is a guarantee that he is not going to do. And Kenny Powell is out of the race car as well with a meatball flag. And I'm honestly wondering if something else has happened to Kenny Powell here, because that had to have come, I imagine, just about out of the blue for Kenny Powell, but it's actually looking like it came from lap 33, and it was for that incident where he got tipped around to the back straightaway. Got a meatball flag, and it wouldn't go away. So Powell is out of the race, handing second place to Schaffner on a silver platter.
Speaking of that, Schaffner actually being challenged by Avery for the race lead. Avery's going to run along on the inside. He's definitely trying to get that car on that inside line. Schaffner having everything. He's got his hands full right now, trying to keep Don Avery at bay.
Having to really work that car to keep Avery in behind him. It'll be 2 laps to go and a pit road close this time by. Races flying by as we're already getting set to close out your second stage on the night.
Don Avery set to he's been watching every move that Schaffner's made thus far. You got to think if he's going to make a move, he's going to have to make it now as they get ready to come around 3 and 4 for the last time here. He's got to be thinking what he's going to do. Schaffner, though, not wanting any parts of anything other than a stage win. This guy's got to be one of the most humblest drivers, I think, that I've ever come across, though, because he is, week after week, he puts on a clinic, but the gentleman is just so soft-spoken. Got to give it up for that 5-0 car, Josh Hoffman.
Avery gets loose out of turn number 2, and that will leave it to Josh Schaffner to just rocket away with the race lead. And he's going to be coasting in through turns 3 and 4. Schaffner will win the second stage on the night.
As that stage 2 comes to a close, looks like those stage positions are Josh Schaffner at first, Don Avery second, Chris Rivera third, Wayne Grassi fourth, Justin Levine fifth, Adrian Sanhorinas sixth, Ken Allen seventh, Paul Olsen eighth, Gary Adamson ninth, and Joshua Gaithrout rounding out your top 10 points positions.
Caution flag is now out. And now we'll take another quick step away, and we'll be back with stage 3 in a moment.
There are moments that surprise and delight the mind and the senses. Introducing Sound Art, the world's first truly customizable, concealed, flat panel art speaker system. A revolutionary combination of incredible sound delivered from your most meaningful pictures. When art and technology intersect, there is a seamless blend of creativity and function.
I'm alive in the streetlight, pulling at the stars in the moonlight. Every time I feel you close.
With Sound Art, anyone can print their own artwork or pick from numerous licensed artwork that we have. The possibilities are limitless. Enjoy beautiful and amazing sound throughout your home. The entire surface of your artwork generates incredibly robust sound. Your art never sounded so good.
Back at it again, and Josh Schaffner will take the caution away as well as the race off of pit road. So, with Schaffner having won both stages, we'll see if we can't potentially dial on up your second or your first place runner at the time being, and winner of both stages so far in the night. Josh Schaffner joins us up in the booth here, and Josh, you're looking on course to set a repeat of what you pulled off over on Thursday.
Yeah, thanks, Nolan. Yeah, it been nice to be up front tonight with some of the struggles that have been going on behind us. But yeah, just car's really good tonight. A little more free tonight, so kind of working on the car here a little bit. But yeah, hopefully we can just keep the Chevy Camaro in clean air all night and see if we can pull off a three-peat again.
So what's it been like for you so far there on the track? Has the track changed at all from Thursday, or is it still business as usual?
Yeah, I feel like it's a little freer than it was on Thursday. That's just me. I've made a couple small adjustments, just trying to find a little bit more speed, and knowing that some of the guys are probably making some gains. But yeah, the track is still tough. A lot of guys getting loose, and turns 1 and 2, it's just an adventure down there every time. You just can't let your guard down, or it's going to bite you.
So what's the plan for you so far over the course of the night? It's been a bit of a race of attrition so far. You've been looking to survive it so far, but Don Avery's been looking to pressure you. You think you'll be able to keep him at bay?
Yeah, Don seemed to be really quick, and I might have been maybe just a little better there at the end of that run. So kind of be curious to see what a longer run looks like. And yeah, and for me, just trying to got a chance to maybe get up to second in points here and leapfrog Kenny, and hopefully we can get a win tonight and get to second in points, and it'll be a great finish to season 1.
Well, thank you for joining us then here tonight, Josh, and best of luck at the rest of the race. If there's anybody you'd like to shout out for us before I let you go?
Yeah, just gotta shout out to everyone watching tonight. Smith Farms and Pioneer, Plenish, all the sponsors, supporters. Shout out to those guys, and hope to give another shout out in Victory Lane here in a little bit.
That was Josh Schaffner giving us a bit of a shout up here in the broadcast booth. Doing a solid job out there so far in his Plenish number 50 Chevrolet Camaro ZL1. And I have to say, I think now that we've had a few of the bigger players knocked out of this race here, Al, I'm a bit more confident in saying my pick to win. It'll be the Schaffner Avery. Those two clearly are the two to beat.
Minus Schaffner, I said it first. I'm pretty sure we'll have to go back and look at the tape, but I'm definitely certain that I called Schaffner before he did.
Oh, boy. Well, I'll pick Avery then. We'll run with that, and who knows? Maybe we'll have a different winner as a result of that one over the course of the night.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's been an interesting turn of events, but, we've seen these things lost on pit road, and I think if we can avoid the snaps and get some green flag pit stops in, that will be the tail that's gonna wag this dragon, so to speak. I hope that we can let this race come down to pit strategies, because it's so much more awesome when guys actually have to run the fuel out, go and gamble to get the tires, figure out how much fuel to get back out, try to maintain their position on the racetrack versus, late stage cautions that just kind of bump everybody back up together and breed more caution. So lights are out on the pace car. Looks like we're going to be able to take this thing green to flag racing again. Josh Schaffner is lining up on the inside as our stage 1 and 2 leaders getting ready to take us on that green flag run. Nolan.
Green flag is back in the air, and Josh Schaffner leads us to it. Don Haver did not get a good launch. That allows Wayne Grossi to get a jump on him in the run down towards turn number 1. So it's side by side for second and third, but the bottom line goes nowhere on the restart. Levine going to go to the top shelf, and he'll be looking to try to take third place away from Grossi out of 2.
Yeah, what Avery did have was he had a bumper full of Levine because he was definitely shoving him down the backstretch. It's like you said, for whatever reason, Avery just failed to launch. So as we got this thing going, Schaffner now using that large lead to his advantage with that great launch that he had. Now pulling this thing going out as we start to get a little side-by-side racing back after there for third place between Severa and Grassi.
3 wide into turn number 3. One car crashing hard on the back straightaway, and it is Brooks Dirting who slams the inside wall and picks the back end up as well as a caution will now wave Severa into the infield.
I'm sorry, I was just yelling Chris Severa. Severa was on the infield. For whatever reason, he just kind of lost control a little bit. But Dirting put himself into the wall. Those snaps, man, it looks like they're getting a little something on everybody here tonight.
So the caution was actually for Brooks Dirting because he crossed his way back up onto the racetrack. But we'll take a look at this one for sure because this was a magnificent save by the number 62 Ford Mustang. We'll look at Brooks Dirting's spin in just a moment. So it was right about when he gets loose here that the caution flag comes out. Right there, back and comes around. And watch this. Car starts to fishtail into the infield grass right and left, having to kind of work the car all over the place. Smokes up the tires as it jumps over the Legends Oval. That joins up with a pit wall, but does manage to rejoin the racetrack safely. A fantastic save, I think it is worth noting there from our man Chris Severa.
That was an absolutely amazing save because what usually happens is when those cars go like that, you're just along for the ride. But Severa actually managing that thing through the infield grass. As we take a look at Dirting's slide here, you see if he goes, and once he loses it and goes down and hits that white line, it's all over there but the crying.
And then the caution flag didn't come out for the initial spin. It came up for when he actually pulled back onto the racetrack to rejoin. He didn't get anybody, but he did pull up onto the racetrack. And that is what forced iRacing's hand and brought us under this latest yellow flag. There you can see Brooks Dirting losing control of the car, trying to save it. He did a good job on trying to keep it going around as much as he did, but there was just no saving it at that point in time. It's when he comes back up on track right about here. That is where the caution flag came out right there because there was still a car coming up that Iverson had to throw the yellow for to avoid him running into the back end of Brooks Dirting. So it's Schaffner, Avery, Grassi, Levine, Arenas for the top 5. Severa, Gaithright, Aylin, Mullins, Adamson to round out the top 10 so far in this race under caution.
Now Mark Johnston in 11th. Paul Olsen, Kyle Green, Mario LaPinta, and Orion Strunk are going to round out all of those drivers that are on the lead lap. Interesting to note that Brooks Dirting, that spin probably kept him from going 2 laps down, but he's shown as the only driver 1 lap down with Travis Manning, Robert Pattengale, Frank Flores, Kenny Powell, Jay Hone, Greg Wachinski, Noah Bitts, Eric Kling, Kenny Thompson, and Al Koslowski. Reminding those guys are all being shown multiple laps down at this time.
What an interesting race this has been so far. It's been a bit more attrition-filled than the opening race was on Thursday to kick off the ISCA week, but it's been a solid race tonight nonetheless. Whenever it goes green, there is some really solid race action that you can see out there on the racetrack. So, as we got set to potentially go a little bit deeper, it's worth noting that we're still not at the point where you could pit and be safe till the end. That is not going to be coming over until, I believe, correct if I'm wrong here, but about lap 93 is when I think you'll be able to pit and be safe to the end.
Yeah, the way I'm estimating it, somewhere between 92 and 94, 93, because that's going to give you enough fuel to get to the end of this thing. But you might want to try to push it a little bit more just in case you were to have a green, white, or a overtime scenario.
Certainly doesn't hurt being safe in the event of overtime. Obviously, the possibility, especially in races like these, is always there. You don't want to find yourself being caught out and having to pit with 2 laps to go.
Yeah, because even though Schaffner has been leading this thing, like I said, it just 1 split second of inattention and you'll just find yourself into the wall. It could happen to anybody. Heck, it just happened to Rivera. So still a lot of racing left to go, Nolans. We're not. I mean, we're almost halfway through this thing.
Almost halfway through. Halfway point will actually be coming on up here in about 5-ish laps. So we'll be well under green flag conditions again by the time that rolls around, as we're now 1 lap to green flag racing. And I have to say, I am very much looking forward to see how this race is going to play out. It may not be a fight for a championship so much, but you can tell this is going to go right down to the wire to see who's actually going to win this one.
Yeah, absolutely. And at this point, even though Schaffner is my pick, we just got to wait and see what happens. The lights are off on the pace car. Looks like we're getting ready to go green flag racing again. Hopefully we'll get a little bit longer of a green flag run this time, be able to settle in and let these tires do what they do. Schaffner, hopefully he'll get a good launch again like he did last time, and we'll see if Don Avery gets caught sleeping again.
Pace car is in, and we're off and underway. Schaffner with a good launch, and once again, Rossi is just on it, pouncing on Don Avery before he can get clear down to the turn number 1. But there's just no speed on the inside lane off of these restarts. So Avery pulls clear from the high side, and Levine's looking to follow him through.
Yeah, for whatever reason, Avery's just not getting that same launch that Schaffner's getting as we're able to go. I saw actually Severa actually had a little bit more of a better launch instead of the guy in front of him, so he found himself having to jump out to the outside in order to avoid contact. Schaffner now doing what Schaffner does, leading this thing around, getting that good 5-0 in the clean air, and got a car down on the inside. He's going to be spinning.
And that is going to be one Joshua Gaithright. No caution. We keep it green, but he lost control through 1 and 2. Justin was seeing time and time again, but he had a good save. Kept it off of the inside wall. And actually, when we go to this replay, let's ride on board with Joshua Gaithright. That'll really show all the wheel work that goes in to try to wrangle one of these cars back under control. We'll take a look on board of them now. Coming around through turns 1 and 2. Starts to go around on him there, gets it back under control, and it was right here when it really all starts to kind of go haywire for him.
Yeah, especially once you hit that apron, Nolan, if you're a wheel man, there's no other way around it. But that could have been so much worse. So definitely kudos to Gaithright for keeping that thing out of the other cars. As Schaffner continues to lead this thing, Avery now getting that run, closing that gap on him. But Grassi is finding himself in a battle for 3rd place. Wayne Grassi definitely needing a good finish just for his, just so he can put some money in the bank, man. Pay some bills, get those kids some new shoes, as Grassi looks like he's going to be looking on the inside, trying to take that 3rd place position away from Joshua Levine. Now, we hadn't seen Levine here in a while, but he definitely came to the race tonight as well.
He most certainly did, and we're going to be seeing him starting to pick up the pressure, no doubt, as tonight goes on. And I hope that Levine is going to also be looking to run full time in the Tucson Sounder Cup Series. It was always entertaining seeing Levine out there on the racetrack, and hope that we'll see more of Justin Levine as time goes along. For the meanwhile, Wayne Grassi has cleared him for 3rd place, and it is starting to pick up a little bit further behind. I'm looking particularly at 7th place at the moment, where John Mullins is. Ken Alen's tucked just in behind. You've also got Adrian San Jose Arenas as well in the mix of this. Al Kozlowski is trying to reel in the gap, and all 4 of them are trying to close up to Kyle Green in 6th place, just ahead of him.
Yeah, Kyle Green, another driver who we hadn't seen back here in this Tucson Sound Art Series for a while, but it's definitely good to have him back on the set with us as well.
So now, as we get set to build further into this race, it is worth noting that we are past halfway now in this race. Ken Aland and John Mullins. Oh, trouble behind! Look out! Arenas gets turned by Al Kozlowski into the inside wall. And there is nothing that anybody can do about that one. No caution. We keep it green. We're going to take another look at this one here. And I don't even think it was contact that initiated this one. Yeah, Arenas got loose, came down, and now Kozlowski just had nowhere to go.
Yeah, when Arenas lost, it looked like a lot. Because you can't, I mean, you have to keep your momentum. You can't just check up. You definitely can't hit the brakes. So a lot of times you kind of get sucked into these guys is the easiest way to say it. But that's exactly what happened, I believe, with Kozlowski, as unfortunately Al's taking yet another whack. So don't bet on black for Kozlowski tonight. Definitely not the card that you want. So remember that, guys. Stay away from 88 at Vegas.
And that has split a good portion of this pack up as a result of that one. I'm going to be looking around a little bit to see where kind of some of the action is at the moment. I know Avery is still holding tough with Josh Allen over the race lead, but you're watching the battle for third and fourth at the moment, which is just as close, by the way, between Grassi and Levine for third and fourth. But even Grassi now starting to pull a little bit of a gap. I know Ken Allen just got past John Mullins for seventh place. That's just now up on your screens. And even behind them, Paul Olsen making a run on Gary Adamson for ninth.
Yeah, definitely going to be, that's one of the most exciting battles going on right now. Olsen definitely not looking like he wants to give any thing to Adamson, but if you look there, you got that 24 car Kenny Powell coming back into your frame as well. So he's back off pit road and on the hunt. Powell being shown some 16 laps down in 19th place.
Good number of drivers unfortunate enough to still be having some major difficulties. Kenny Powell, of course, among those. One of the few guys that's still running, Otto Brooks Durden, is out of the race. You got Pattengill and Flores, two shake and bake drivers, which, interestingly enough, are actually both damaged. They're both involved with the same wreck, and they both exited pit road on the same lap. So they're both on the same lap. They're battling each other for 17th and 16th place, though the gap between them, I think, is a little bit bigger than I think you might be used to here. You see Pattengill, there's Flores just up the road. So two teammates, but I think they can still have a little bit of fun amongst themselves and race each other. 13 laps down apiece, but who says you're not allowed to race even though your lap's down, right?
You know, but the better thing is, it seems like they would back up to each other and try to get some benefit of the draft if they're capable of running similar lap times, because this is one of those tracks where it is definitely kind of draft dependent. As we look at that battle there with Paul Olsen and that 64 car that I think we got going on right now. Looks like Paul Olsen is going to be looking to the inside of Mr. Mullins here for that 8th position. This being one of the closest battles that we got on the track now.
Time is starting to slowly tick away. Third place, I believe, is among one of the closer finds on track as well, as you just saw Paul Olsen sweep past Mullins. That was for 8th and 9th place, and then this is the fight for the final podium position, and among one of the last fights there is at this point on the racetrack as well. And now lap 76 being rounded of 134. So there is growing less and less time until we reach the first run of green flag pit stops on the night. I'm going to do some quick maths here, see the latest point we can expect drivers to come down before they're safe to go to the end of this race.
Now, interesting to note, too, is these cars actually find themselves with diminishing supplies of petroleum, meaning they're going to run out of gas a little bit. It makes them a little bit more of a challenge to handle. So that snap becomes a little bit more prevalent. You'll feel a little bit more on those turns to make some drivers a little bit less easy. So that we'll see if that actually plays into some of those green flag pit stop calculations as well.
So lap 86 is the earliest point in which drivers can come down and they'd be safe to go on fuel. So in about 10 laps or so, we can expect to see maybe a couple of drivers flirting with the idea of coming on down into pit road and potentially get those green flag stops out of the way early. But I think it's more likely that we're going to be seeing people trying to maybe stretch it a bit longer as long as they possibly can. 12th, 13th place are actually looking close. Mark Johnson and Ryan Strunk currently side by side on the racetrack. 77 in the number 6 car at the moment that are both having a bit of a solid run for themselves. trading back and forth amongst the two of them. So been a solid run for a few of these guys into this field. Got battles going on a little bit further up the road as well as a bit further down in the mid-pack as well. Now we talked about Grassi and Levine, both of these drivers having a bit of a run with themselves right out. Oh, is Levine twitching about a little bit? That's going to wash with the track, and this brings up my point perfectly. Chris Severa has caught this grouping. He's looking like he wants to go to the inside.
Yeah, and like I said, Nolan, as these laps wear on and tick away, these cars become a lot more sporty to handle. Wow, what was that?
Whoa! That was Avery, second place. Don Avery in the second place is just wrecked.
And no caution out would continue green, so I guess don't bet on that. But yeah, if we're just riding along with Levine, you'll see exactly well, these cars are so hard to handle, especially once as they run out of fuel, because there's really nothing keeping the ass in on the ground, so to speak.
And as we continue to ride along with Justin Levine, we'll take a quick step away. We'll give voices a bit of a break. Watch the battle develop for second, third, and fourth on the racetrack. With drivers in about 5 laps time going to be good to go till the end of the race. And Levine scrapes the wall and goes into the infield grass. So unfortunate. The number 19 car just had a solid run. He was trying to keep close with Chris Severa. Wasn't going to happen, though. And that will put Severa up into third place now for sure. Don Avery, of course, having his struggles. He is out of the race. Blew the motor when he went head on into the outside wall in front of this grouping. Unfortunate for him, but I think maybe some technical difficulties having a big say in that one outright, because, of course, he blinked for a good while when he came in. He was smoking with major damage on the front end.
Yeah, we actually saw him hit that wall, and I don't know if that was an issue of glitching or what, but he was having a little bit of handling issues at the end of that stage 2 run. So a lot of guys are finding out that these cars become hard to handle as we get down towards the end of this thing. So about 10 laps now, we'll start seeing those green flag pit stops here in the next 10. So that's going to tell us a lot about whose cars are handling what and how everyone's running.
And you saw Chris Severa charge around the high side of Wayne Grassi and take over the second position. Solid run for him, as problems for Greg Wyszynski down low, and he blew the motor in turn 1. The damage to Greg Wyszynski's car finally got the better of him. He'll pull it to a stop and take the tow back to pit road. No yellow, we stay green. So unfortunate, though, for, again, the number 5 car.
Gaithright, once again, looks like he was out of control a little bit going into turn 3, I believe. That guy, he's been having a hard time holding on to that car tonight. Not sure what just happened. If we could ride back with him a little bit and see exactly what occurred. Yeah, looks like he was coming out on the inside, just got on that apron and just kind of lost it a little bit. Looks like he kind of had to snap, and it caused him to go down on the apron maybe.
Yeah, snapped around a little bit. Luckily, didn't get into anything, but it was a decent save. No doubt using some of the transitional banking to help out with that. And just as I called it, lap 86 was the earliest you could come in and you'd be safe to the end. And on cue, John Mullins is the first driver to come in for scheduled green flag pit stops all night long, leaving just a few out there on the racetrack now. So, with Mullins in the pit road, it's now a question of when is everybody else going to be coming on in?
Yeah, what's your preference on this? Are you a early to pit or a late to pit kind of guy?
I'm a let's see how the tires are developing type of guy. I mean, my thought is if your tires are already kind of shot at this point in time, come on in. No point staying out there on bad rubber. But if your tires are still good and you think you can go a bit longer, no reason to pit now when you're having such a good run.
And on that point, if your tires are bad right now, I mean, by the time you get to the end of this tire life again, you're going to be probably within the last 10 laps of the race. So, yeah, that's exactly what you're dealing with. You're dealing with how well you can save your stuff. Because these runs right here, this last one, it's going to be a long green flag run. And these cars do handle tremendously different from a fuel tank to a engine tank.
One thing that I've been hearing recently about how these cars drive, they're not just aero sensitive anymore, but they're very line sensitive as well. And as the fuel changes, that line can really, really change with it. And I'm not sure what the situation is like at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, so to speak, but I do know at places like Auto Club Speedway, the lower you got in the fuel tank, the higher up the track you had to run in order to kind of keep a vaguely similar lap time. And it is honestly looking like that's not the case here. So many of these drivers are actually getting a bit more confident on the bottom. So I think it's honestly the other way around now. It's better on the low side the less fuel you have.
Yeah, actually, and if you can get that momentum right, especially going to 1 and 2, you can get down low. The thing that you got to be aware of, if you come too low and you hit that apron, that's a whole different ride. So it could even actually, it's hard to say this, but hitting that inside apron can even sling you into that outside wall coming off that turn. Yeah, we've seen a lot of drivers tonight having a hard time handling these cars.
Adrian San Jose Arenas has had he's had the Wojcinski problem. Engine failure in turn 4. Sees him park it in the tri-oval on the apron, so no yellow. But that's yet another driver that is now dropped down and out of this race. I believe that leaves him now just about 15 still left on the racetrack.
Yeah, it's amazing at the attrition rate that we're facing in this race here tonight. I was actually hoping it would have been a little bit cleaner and greener, but as we have had a pretty good green flag run here in this last stage, with only one caution so far, and green flag pit stops continually underway. Now actually coming into that window where drivers are probably going to have to pit. So it'll be interesting to see when our leader, Doffner, who has an almost 3 seconds out of 2.82 lead on second place, Chris Severa. So that will probably change a little bit on pit road. Severa usually had a huge issue with hitting last week, which helped out with Schaffner winning. But we'll be able to see how that's going to affect everything tonight.
So as more and more drivers get set to come on down, I've seen Justin Levine exiting pit road. It looks like he made his run of pit stops this last time by. As well as that, you'll be seeing a couple of more drivers, I imagine, starting to pit around this time. This is really, I guess, when the pit window will open in force. Remember, fuel window estimated of 48 laps. Battle's on for 9th and 10th, by the way. Looking at Ryan Strug and Joshua Gaithright. They just about banged doors out of turn number 4. And Gaithright in his front line number 89 Mustang going to be making a run on the Captain Maloney Chevrolet. But look at Strug trying to rip the high side out of 2.
I don't know how this is going to end, Nolan. This has got me really kind of nervous right here as Mullins is coming up behind him now. Interested to note, Mullins is on new tires. Just going to watch and see what happens with that 89 car at Gaithright.
Now here comes the crossover. Ryan Strug let Gaithright go, but he charged up the inside line of the 1 and 2. This is a almighty fight. And look at John Mullins kicking the door open. He's a lapped car on fresh rubber. Just wanted to find his way through. Strug's going to take that opportunity and look for the inside line on 3 and 4, which is where it is so much stronger, by the way, as opposed to 1 and 2. But it's not enough. Gaithright's pulled clear.
Roger, that battle right there for ninth and 10th position. I was amazed that they were actually going to battle so hard right there, and Mullins come up just in time to make it a 3-wide scenario. Not quite what you want to see there. Probably what would have worked out great for Schaffner and Severa is they're yet to pit, but something like that, when incidents like that happen, it does affect the outcome of this race, as now Gaither is on pit road.
Gaitherite comes down into pit road, and he has got Josh Schaffner right in behind him. That puts Chris Severa up into the race lead. So yet more drivers making their runs in a pit road, and one by one, we're going to be seeing drivers trickle on in. It's not like it has been in previous months where it's, one driver coming on in starts a mass exodus. Though there are a few coming in this time by. Olsen and Alin both came in this time by. So did Frank Flores, who also came to pit road. Ryan Strunk is in this time by. So is Kozlowski. Seems like this is the lap.
Yep, this is that magic lap. Everybody's going to come on down and try to get that Petro. Severa's still staying out on that racing surface. He is our new leader now. Him and Grossi, neither one of those two have pitted yet. So it's going to be interesting to see how they work that out. Probably going to come in sometime closer together and do anything. They should work in tandem to try to close that. It's Severa on the pit road now, but they should work in tandem to try to close that gap on Schaffner.
You see Chris Severa now in the pit road. He is your current race leader as the time when he is coming to the pit road. Now it's Wayne Grossi that has cycled around to. Grossi, I believe, is the last driver that has yet to pit, and he just made the call that he is pitting in this time by. So Wayne Grossi going to be coming into pit road. And Mark Johnson down in 5th place is going to be coming with him. That, I believe, will cycle Mario LaPinta through into the race lead. Kyle Green is just exiting pit road himself. I'm not sure if Mario LaPinta has pitted yet, but I am pretty sure that he is still yet to stop. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one, but checking his lap times, it looks like that is very much still the case here, Al.
Yeah, Roger LaPinta is yet to pit. He's running quite a bit off, but I think he's going to probably enjoy his share of the race lead just for a little while at least. And wouldn't it be interesting if we were to get a late race caution, but I don't think it would matter right now. Everybody would end up benefiting from it. So looks like that's going to wrap up our green flag pit shenanigans. Doesn't look like anybody knocked themselves out of position or gained too much on that.
Save, of course, for Mario LaPinta, who is still yet to pit. Now, I agree with you. I believe Mario LaPinta certainly deserves his fair share there in the race lead. And it's so unfortunate, right? Because, I mean, LaPinta is such a fast driver. Every week he has shown that he has got pace to contend with some of the better drivers in this league. But every single race, he just gets knocked out in some incident or another. And sure enough, 3 laps into this race, he gets collected in the first major incident of the day. So just so unfortunate as now he'll forfeit the race lead, enter pit road. That's Psycho Severa back through to the point.
You know what? And well, Schaffner's were right there behind. Oh, caution's out. What is that?
Oh! Yellow flag. It's Mark Johnston who just pitted. Mark Johnston just pitted. And he is now out of this race. And that is a bit of an interesting thing there. He got into it without Kozlowski from the looks of things.
Kozlowski has hit everybody but the pace car tonight, hasn't he?
Gotten into just about everybody else, yeah. Gonna watch this one here just all by himself. Drifts up, gets a bit loose, saves it, but he can't save it enough. Gets into Kozlowski and goes head on to the outside wall.
Okay, so I think Kozlowski, he drummed up his own luck this week. Definitely not been in his favor as he is yet involved in another conflict, which honestly he had nothing to do with. There's nothing that Al could have done about that one. Just an unfortunate racing incident, you know.
It's unfortunate indeed for guys like Mark and Al, and who knows, hopefully we'll be having a bit more fresher luck out there. But Severa, coming back into pit road. It was Myers deceiving me on that one. No, he is in pit road.
Along with Schaffner.
Interesting.
And Severa both coming down pit road. So what's going on with that, I wonder? Looks like Severa's actually taking left side and right side tires. Looks like he's going to take that full can of Sunoco racing fuel as well, get himself topped off. Well, what do you make of that there strategy, Nolan?
Bit more fresher tires than everybody else. Didn't hurt anybody. You got 6 sets to work with. May as well put them to good use.
Yeah, but they're going to put themselves deeper into the pack for that start. Interested, but yeah, I guess that's why we're up here and they're down there. Just want to see how this plays out. But interesting that both Schaffner and Severa pitted, and they were the only two like that, you know?
Well, hopefully we'll be seeing that strategy play on now. Lots of very intriguing things going on here from Las Vegas Motor Speedway. We'll take one quick step away. We'll be back with the final 25 or so laps when we come back.
There are moments that surprise and delight the mind and the senses. Introducing Sound Art, the world's first truly customizable, concealed, flat panel art speaker system. A revolutionary combination of incredible sound delivered from your most meaningful pictures. When art and technology intersect, there is a seamless blend of creativity and function.
Come alive in the streetlight, pulling at the stars in the moonlight. Every time I feel you close.
With Sound Art, anyone can print their own artwork or pick from numerous licensed artwork that we have. The possibilities are limitless. Enjoy beautiful and amazing sound throughout your home. The entire surface of your artwork generates incredibly robust sound. Your art never sounded so good.
Still under the caution period here. Under 30 laps left to go now in this race. Chris Severa, we talked about before, came down into pit road. But it seems like he wasn't alone here out. Wayne Grossi, Mario Lapinta, Paul Olson, and Ken Aylen were the only drivers to stay out. And I have to say, that caution saved Mario Lapinta's race, right? Because you have to remember, he was so far down the order, he was with damage, and now he pit right before the caution came out. He cycled through to second place because of that.
And the fact that Schaffner and Severa both pitted. You know, it's just going to be interesting, Nolan. We got a good solid 25 laps or so to go. And I think it's going to be an interesting race. I'm just kind of befuddled right now just about some things that we've seen transpire here tonight. The snaps, number one, I don't know exactly what's happening. I don't know why so many people are having such a hard time controlling their cars. It's perplexing.
Well, it's a hard race car. I mean, even the professionals in the real world have been struggling with how this car drives, and I find that to be a rather interesting factor is the fact that it's not just these guys that are struggling, it's everybody else that's been struggling with it as well. So who knows? This could potentially be a very exciting race and even an exciting Super Cup Series season when we get down to it. But for now, still get set to finish up the first regular Cup Series season of 2022. Wayne Grossi gets set to take us back to green.
And Grossi wasting no time getting that jump on that green flag. He's going to want to go ahead and get a run because Grossi, he doesn't get a chance to be out front that often. So he's going to want to try to get as far out as front as he can until Severa and Schaffner get free. Speaking of Severa and Schaffner, they're right back there somewhere in the midst of all of this. Looks like Schaffner's down on the inside. Now in a third place, Severa now got that 62 Gas and Go Chevrolet in second place as we're continuing to get some 20 laps to go. 26 laps to go.
As we get set to come to the start-finish line, it'll be 25 to go this time by, and it's so far a very clean restart for everybody in this field. Look at Chris Severa trying to make a charge for the race lead on Wayne Grossi. He's got the high side in 3 and 4, but Severa not able to properly follow through. Grossi's pushing up, but Severa's there with the run out of turn number 4, and he's going to take it by the time they hit start-finish line.
Yeah, that's just not going to be it. Grossi not wanting to let this go. He's going to push the issue, try to keep that number 7 car tucked on the inside. But oh, look out. Here comes Josh Schoffer bringing up the rear. They're closing that gap on Grossi as well, as he's going to probably be trying to get that 50 car looking to the inside. Severa taking a no chances on this, as he's going to go ahead and try to get that 6-2 car out there as far ahead of Schaffner as he possibly can, trying to secure not only the championship but the race win as well. But Schaffner definitely proven himself to be the man to beat on this track here tonight, already having swept the first 2 stages.
Look at Paul Olson just in behind, thinking about trying to have a look on Wayne Grossi for the 3rd position. As well as that, you mentioned a little bit further behind, some drivers still duking it out. Most notably Kyle Green up the inside of LaPinta. Now Gary Adamson through 3 and 4. The Tractor Boats Chevrolet, Toyota Camry. Don't get to say those words too often. Is making a solid run on the Monster Energy Mustang. Pushing up a bit for Kyle Green, but Gary Adamson doing a good job on running right where he needs to make sure that Green can't capitalize. Contact out of turn number 2. Oh, Green's losing it, and he goes all the way around to the back straightaway and noses it hard into the inside wall. No caution flag, and I have to say, unfortunately, I think Kyle Green kind of did himself in with that one.
Yeah, you know, I think he might have just drove it in there a little bit too hard. Speaking of which, as we continue on, Schaffner now closing the nose up on that 6-2 Ford. This is going to be a classic battle. If nothing else, we got Ford versus Chevy. Ford versus Chevy. So I'm a Ford guy, but unfortunately I put my money down on that 5-0 car tonight. So I'm going to hope that if anything, Severa can keep that 6-2 car nice. Oh, caution's out on the speedway. What caused this caution, Nolan?
Not so sure what brought on this yellow flag. I'm kind of looking around, but I'm not seeing anything. I'm going to be honest with you.
Looks like the 13 car, Mario LaPinta, is going to get it done for us.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. Lost it out of turn 4. You're absolutely right. Good catch. Take a look on the replay of what happened this time by. You see already losing control. Powell sweeps through, and then right when he clipped the apron, just shot the back end around, and that puts us under caution once again tonight. It's an unfortunate sign there for Mario LaPinta, who got caught up in that one, but I'm sure there are a couple of guys in behind that are not necessarily going to complain about it at the caution period. Helps them reel back in and puts us all back on equal footing again.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one person that won't be complaining about that is Grossi, because he's got to try to figure out the right combination to keep that 7 car from falling so far back now. Grossi definitely having probably one of his better showings as Severa fakes out Schaffner and Grossi, and he actually stays out, which was a classic move. Schaffner did bite. He went down on pit road, but Severa dots back out at the end. So that's awesome. That's going to secure him some better footing, because he needs to put as much buffer between himself and Schaffner as he can.
There you see Ryan Strunk getting the lucky dog free pass. That will put Strunk back on the lead lap. That will put us with the top 11 cars now on the lead lap. More cars laps down than on the lead lap for the time being. And taking a look at it at the moment, it looks as though, give me one brief second here, I'll count them up. We'll have about 14 cars total left on the track once everybody that's in pit road cycles through.
That's going to put us going green with about 17 to go. So far we've had 5 cautions outside of the 2-stage cautions. Those 7 cautions have totaled a total of 25 laps. So that's going to be interesting as well. But this late in the race, I mean, you can pretty much let her rip right here, Tater Chip. And it's just anybody's race. I don't think there's no one has themselves in a better position. Severa probably happy that he has as much cushion as he can between himself and Schaffner. But yeah, it's still, it's been a tricky night, Nolan. It's been a tricky track. A lot of people have been bit by this snake.
That's been a wild race, hasn't it? I mean, we're talking just non-stop action everywhere we've gone. I mean, this has been one of those races that just hasn't wanted to let up, hasn't been wanted to let us breathe.
Yeah, I think my brain is mush right now.
It has been a wild night, and it's far from the norm for an ISCA race, right? It's always some pretty crazy action that we can get into, and if this is the type of racing that you like to see and want to see more of, well, feel free to drop a subscribe to us on YouTube, on Twitch, or, of course, like us on Facebook as well. We're happy to be watching us from here tonight as we get set to see how we get to sort the rest of this race out as when we go back to green. If I'm doing this correctly, and assuming I am, it'll be about 15 or so laps to go when we take that green flag again. So with everything being said and done, I mean, it has been one of the wildest races we've had so far on the season. I didn't think that was possible with what we had at Auto Club. What do you think we could be expecting in the end game now that we're in these final laps of the race?
I think you can expect a couple more cautions, Nolan, just for the simple fact that at this point, everybody that's on the lead lap has a chance of winning this thing. So there's really no reason to not be aggressive and try to secure yourself a better position or at least a good run to get up front. You want to stay in the draft because the draft matters, and you could actually easily slingshot yourself from 12th to 5th or so. So I think we can expect some pretty exciting racing here coming up to the close of this third and final stage. Well, what do you think?
I'd expect nothing other than just non-stop entertainment all the way to the end. I mean, this race has been just all give and no take so far. We'll be seeing what we'll be having for us in these final closing laps of this race. It is going to be 16 laps to go when we take the green flag. Pace cars down and in. Chris Severa gets set to take us to the green flag with Olsen on his outside. Once again, Severa launches well, and Levine gonna totally capitalize and is clear with second by the time he reaches the end of the start-finish line.
Yes, Severa got a monster launch with that forward 62 gas and go coming off of that start. Everybody else actually, Paul Ocean, and maybe holding up that out front a little bit. But as we get ready to go, Wayne Grossi's going to find himself looking down on the inside. Everybody's trying to close that gap. You don't want to let that lead pack get away. You want to try to stay in it at all costs.
Oh, look out! Schaffner sliding sideways. Oh, he's going to take out the field. Gets in a Mullins, Adamson, and as well as that, Olsen got involved. And Josh Schaffner will not be able to go for the sweep tonight.
Yeah, the only sweep tonight was the broom going across the back of Josh Schaffner's neck as he loses control of that 5-0 car coming out of, looks like coming out of turn 3 right there. And then comes right back into the field. Just an unfortunate set of circumstances. Like I said, I think we had a couple more cautions to go. One down and one at least to go. Who ordered that play?
about 4 different cars there, and it was really just the drivers that you saw on screen that got into it there. Schaffner got into Olsen, who shoved Mullins into the wall, and Adamson just had nowhere to go.
Yeah, Josh had been running so well. I mean, he had really literally been owning this track, and then just that one instance, it's like we said, just that one split second right there, she gets away from you, and then you just find yourself alone for the ride. Can we ride along with Schaffner there? Did we actually ride along with him so we can see and work on that? Okay.
We already took a look on what Schaffner saw throughout all of that, and not pretty. You can see how much he was trying to keep control of that car, trying to keep it out of the racetrack as much as he possibly could. But when it gets that sideways, the only thing you can realistically do is just lock it down and hope for the best. Good grief.
That being said, I think my horse just dropped out of the race.
Yep, that just leaves mine, Chris Severa. So we'll see if Don Avery was my original horse, and Avery also out of this race, collected in incidents earlier on. Time for new horses here, it would seem, Al. I'm going with Severa.
Oh, wow. It is time for new horses.
So who's your pick here now? I'll let you think about that one for a brief moment here as we continue to pace around. There's not a lot of clean cars left in this field, is there? I know Severa's even got a bit of damage. Wayne Grossi and Ken Aland are still clean. So is Gaithright, but he's had a few spins of his own. I think that's really about it. You've got yourself Ken Aland and Wayne Grossi. Those are the only 2 completely undamaged cars so far that are left in this field. Really goes to show just how big a race of attrition this has been.
Well, Nolan, I was thinking about that, and I was doing my math. So the car that has led the most laps, that has got the least amount of damage so far, I think is the pace car.
It's the pace car, your new horse, to win this race.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go at Grossi. At least he's gonna get one of his best finishes. So let's go, Wayno. We're gonna do this thing tonight. I'm gonna go ahead and slide all of my chips in on Grossi here at Vegas tonight. That's what I got.
I do believe Wayne Grossi did pick up a podium earlier on in the season, if not a race win. So this could be big here. He could be looking for a potential another result and a potentially new best result as well. I think it's 2 laps to green as of right now.
And interesting to note that the only 2 sub 3-0 laps in this race have been from the 62 car Chris Severa, who's at the fastest lap, and Wayne Grossi.
Some interesting little tidbits there as we get set to kick this race back off.
Well, I mean, there were a couple others, but I mean that are still running. I mean that are contenders for this race win. Those are 2 of the only 2 that have had sub
right
laps. I think we're going to be right at 10 to go when this thing goes green again. So what is the over-under on overtime?
Possibility is very high the way this has gone for the time being, and obviously the longer we go under caution, the more those tires are going to cool. And, of course, when you do get those cold tires, the likelihood of wrecks becomes that much higher. So I'd say it's a pretty high possibility, but I believe that these guys will be able to go to the end of this race yet without having to go to overtime. So we'll see.
You know, we also, looks like that the 89 car doesn't have too much damage on it, nor the 13 does have some damage, but I don't know. Looks like we got some cars that are kind of clean, so this might get a little interesting.
Pace cars coming around through 3 and 4, and it will be 10 laps exactly left to go when we take the green flag. And once again, it will be in the hands of Chris Severa to take us back to green flag racing for what could be the final time on the season. Pace cars down and in, and Chris Severa gets set to take us back to green.
Grossi looked like he was trying to anticipate that launch a little bit. It might have cost him more than it gained him. That's a very unprecedented launch off of this last restart. As a matter of fact, that's probably the greatest launch that he has had so far tonight. I mean, he's almost got himself a half of a second lead on the second place car.
Drivers are still trying to cycle themselves through, but I'm watching the battle for third place. You've got yourself Aylen with Joshua Gaithright just on the outside line. Strunk and Levine also going at it just behind for 5th and 6th place. They're neck and neck in the run. Down in the turn number 1 this time by. Cars now back up to speed. Oh, big trouble. Levine hard to the outside wall. What on earth happened there? We stay green, but that was a weird incident, and I have a feeling that he just lost control and overcorrected.
Yep, looks like Josh Levine, another victim of the snap.
Oh my goodness.
Chris Severa continuing to lead this thing around now as the guys behind him are kind of getting lined up. Looks like England is going to be tucked in behind Gaithright, as Gaithright is still trying to close that gap on Grossi. Grossi had actually, like you said, having one of his best races so far this season. Definitely got himself a chance to be a solid podium position to have yet another car running across the infield grass.
And that is Mario LaPinta, who slid way into the infield grass. And he manages to get that thing back under control, and we're still green flag racing. 6 laps left to go. Look up to the fight for third. Aylen is on it with Joshua Gaithright just in front. And that frontline car looks like he wants to hang on to a final podium position, and Ryan Strunk is right behind him.
Absolutely. Gaithright is definitely going to do everything that he can do to keep that 89 car on the podium, and that will be a great momentum boost for that team, that frontline team especially, because he is one of the only ones I think that are still running strong in contention for those frontline guys here tonight. But Aylen definitely not going to want to do anything other than bash that 89's car's dreams, as he got Strunk right in his rearview mirror. So he's definitely going to keep the pressure on that 89 car as we're coming on down to 5 to go.
5 laps to go this time by, and the battle is on for third place. Joshua Gaithright is in third, Aylen 4th, Strunk down in 5th place. Frank Flores is blown up deeper in the field, but the fight rages on for the final podium position with 4 to go.
And Chris Severa now stretching that lead out to over a minute, over a 1.2 seconds over Grossi. So definitely he's got to be feeling pretty good, but you know, he still can't just let up yet. He's still got to stay focused, because it only takes but 1 second, a tenth of a second, for the snap to attract, as that 89 car still leading the 52 car at Aylen as we're coming this thing on around here, Nolan.
Entering the final stages of this race, and that fight for third is where it's all at. It's the only fight on track for the time being, and Gaithright is looking set to hold on to a podium, but both drivers behind want to find a way through as we hit 2 to go.
2 to go, and they could not come soon enough for Gaithright, as he has got his hands full with Aylen and Strunk both behind, just waiting on him to make any semblance of a mistake so they can take that third place position away. But he was so mysteriously robbed last week that he is definitely not going to give it up. He is giving them everything that he has got more to keep that Mustang in the lead of this thing, in the front of these here 2 guys coming around to 2 to go.
Two laps left to go, and it is a solid run for everybody in this field. Just got to make it another mile and a half before this race is official. The white flag now waving as Chris Severa thunders down the back straightaway for the final time today. He sealed the deal last week at Auto Club, and as Severa rounds the final corner, Chris Severa will now seal the deal for the final race and will go out on a high. Severa wins the Hooters 200 at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. What a solid drive for everybody out there so far in this field. Just non-stop action from start to finish in true ISCA tradition. Let's take a look at your official post-race results. Now that the checker flag has flown on the field, Chris Severa takes the race win with Wayne Grossi in second, as Joshua Gaithright in third, Kenny Lind is fourth, Ryan Strunk is fifth, with Josh Schaffner in sixth. It's Mario LaPinta in seventh, Gary Adamson is eighth, Justin Levine and John Mullins round out the top 10.
That's going to put Paula Ocean in 11th. Robert Pattengill 12th, Kenny Powell 13th, Frank Flores 14th, Kyle Green 15th, Mark Johnson 16th, Adrian San Jose Arenas in 17th, Al Koslowski 18th, Don Avery 19th, and Brooks 13th in 20th.
And that will leave Greg Wachinski, Travis Manning, Jay Ho, Noah Bitts, Eric Kling, and Kenny Thompson to round out the field here tonight from Las Vegas Motor Speedway. We'll take a brief step away, but don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a moment with Post Race Show.
You gotta get down to Hooters, have a drink, catch the game, get yourself some awesome wings. It's the place to do your thing. You gotta get down to Hooters. Here she comes, a girl next door, hanging with good friends and more. Come on, what you waiting for? You gotta get down to Hooters. So get on up and get on down to Hooters.
And welcome back to the Tucson Sound Art Hooters 200. And we are going to be joined up in the race booth by your not only series champion, but your race winner, Chris Severa. Chris Severa, this is Big Al up in the broadcast booth. You got me?
Hey,
Awesome race tonight. A lot of crazy things going on. What was it like from your perspective out there?
we were dodging cars any which way from Sunday. No, it was 1 and 2 was just an absolute monster out here. So just keeping the car clean was just absolutely huge tonight.
Yeah, definitely a lot of beat up cars out there. But how was the handling on that 62 G&G Ford tonight?
Handling was good. We were pretty snug in 3 and 4. Could have been a bit looser, but I think we had to be that snug to be as good as we were in 3 and 4. Big shout out to Josh Schaffner. It was actually him working on the setup this week. So, if it wasn't for him, probably would have been off pace all night. So, big shout out to that. But yeah, other than that, car felt good. We got into the wall once, entering 1, not too much damage, so we were able to get it fixed and get back out there.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you'd already wrapped up the championship. Now you got the win. That's got to be an awesome feeling as we get ready to go into the Super Championship Series carries on. What are your thoughts for next week's race?
We're going to take it one step at a time. I think we're at Phoenix. It's actually one of my more favorite tracks. I really like it there. So, we're going to take it one step at a time, one race at a time. Like I said, glad to get a win in early. On top of it, being at the last night of this season as well, I'm glad to go out on a high note. Really threw it last week, so glad we can put it in victory lane tonight.
Well, congratulations again on that on the series championship. Also, congratulations on your win tonight. Awesome job, awesome performance. Anybody like to give it a shout out to before I let you go?
Yeah, everybody at Gas and Go. They put in so much work. I wasn't able to turn any laps this week. Those guys did a lot of work this week to make the car fast. I forget what setup we worked with, EPI, Ryko, just about all of them. They're great bases to start with. Everybody in G&G, I think I said it a million times, you guys as always for putting it on. Saturdays, I just think it's just going to get better and better. A lot of fast guys in here tonight. It could have been any one of them. Really good competition out here as well. As long as we can keep the cars clean, I think Phoenix will be a lot better for it. But thanks again, guys.
Hey, thank you. That's going to move us to our second place finisher, Mr. Wayne Grossi. Wayne Grossi, this is Big Al up in the booth. You got your ears on?
Hey, Al, you copy?
Hey, I got you, Wayne. Hey, that was a hard fought race for you guys. Definitely glad to see you come in and put that number 7 car on the podium. Congratulations to you. What was it like down there for you tonight?
Well, thank you, first of all. I appreciate that. Tonight was all about just keeping the car clean, avoiding the wrecks, just keeping my head on straight and trying not to make any mistakes.
Yeah, that was awesome. You found yourself out front there at the beginning of at the beginning of a couple of the stages, and actually able to keep that car clean. One of the cleaner cars out there. That's got to be a great boost for your team. Anybody you'd like to give a shout out to?
Well, I'd like to thank you, Al. I really enjoy the broadcast and all the things you guys do. Certainly Tucson Sound Art for sponsoring this. Big shout out for them. Everybody in the league appreciate what you do, and just second place, believe me, is like a win for me. So I'm very happy to get second.
Yeah, that's awesome. Is really glad to see you on the podium tonight. Congratulations to you and your team. You guys worked so hard, and you definitely deserve it, Al. Wayne, sorry about that. Looking forward to seeing you next week at Phoenix. So you got anything there you're thinking about?
Yeah, I've actually got a pretty good car there. Looking forward to that one.
Well, awesome, sir. You have yourself a great evening.
You too.
Looks like that's going to wrap us up here at the Tucson Sound Art Hooters 200. Oh, I'm sorry. We got one more.
Hi.
Oh, sorry about that. Didn't mean to overlook Joshua Gaithright. Hey, congratulations to you for making it on the podium. Sorry about that. I totally did not see you right in front of my face. Congratulations on that third place finish. You found yourself starting off there first in stage 2, kind of dropped back a little bit. Did you take tires? What was going on with that?
Yeah, so I decided to stay out after stage 1 because I pit a few laps before and I took fuel only. So I was good on fuel, and I kind of, after the first 10 laps or so, I kind of suspected I would need more tires at the end. So I knew I was good to the next caution. So I just stayed out on fuel and stayed out everyone's way, so I didn't kill anybody.
Yeah, that was awesome. It was a great race for you guys tonight. You kind of lost it a couple of times, but it looks like you were able to kind of gobble it back up and keep it clean. What was your biggest thing for preparation going into this race this week?
I mean, just turning laps, man. That's all you can do with these new cars. I think the new cars are so different. You have to, if you don't get out and turn at least 10 hours before you jump into a race anymore, you're not really going to have it dialed in. I know, I think Chris and Wayne were running a shorter gear than me. I was running a longer gear for fuel purposes, but they were able to rip off and run away. Their cars turned in real good. I know, every time I hit that bump between 1 and 2, if I adjusted the throttle wheel at all, it was going for a ride. So it's just a learning process. New car, takes time.
Yeah, Roger, going into Phoenix next week, you got anything that you're particularly interested in taking from this week to next week, or anything you're looking forward to?
Yeah, with this new car, I've kind of adopted the philosophy of don't get in a wreck, and I think you're going to finish pretty okay. Just survive till the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody you want to give a shout out to here tonight?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to the boys over at Frontline Esports, Brooks and Willis, and all the other boys for building this awesome setup that I had the privilege of using. It's been really fun. I literally would not be anywhere near this without them. So, shout out to them. Thank you for putting on the stream. It's awesome. Kenny for putting up the league. Like I've had a lot of fun with this league. So this has been a lot of fun. A lot of really good racers. A lot of competitiveness. So I'll take it.
All right, thank you very much. It looks like that is going to conclude our coverage here of the Tucson Sound Art Hooters 200 here from beautiful sunny Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm your host, Al Nixon, on behalf of Nolan Remco and Rob Melnick and Kenny Powell and the ISCA. Thank everyone for tuning in. We'll see you all next week.